Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
The
Let-
answer selected.
This is the question, right?
Yeah, we told C was the answer, but
Yeah, C was the answer. Okay.
okay.
So the slide was missing there. The slide was not shown. So C was the answer. Yeah. So you have the application tier and NAT gateway for public subnets and private subnet for the database cluster. Yes, you are right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then like one point you mentioned that if there are two accounts and you are giving an access, if you want to give an S3 access to the other account, and then how do we do with the IAM policies with the IAM
So
user?
you will use IAM roles there.
Roles.
And the other account user who is coming from the other account, he will have to assume that role in this account.
So you'll create the role in your account, and then you will provide the
Yes,
role access to the other account.
Yeah, you will have this role defined, and the other account user will have to assume that role.
Oh.
So IAM roles are used for actually giving access to multi-account users.
And where this resource policy comes into picture?
Policies are, policies are attached to everything. Policies can be attached to your resources. Policies can be attached to your users or groups. Policies are sort of the authorizations which define what this user will be able to do, or what this.
My question is regarding the resource policies. Like when will we use the resource policies?
So when do you use resource policies?
Yeah. What are
so
the
let's
use
assume that. Okay, let's assume that your EC2 instance has to write something on S3. Okay. So in that sort of scenario, you should give a policy to EC2 that you have this permission to write something to the S3. So when you have a resource-based interactions, right? So there you will go for policy, resource-based policies.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Any more questions? So this question is not highlighted the C point, but yeah, it has eliminated that. Okay. Maybe I have to edit this slide. Any more questions?
Can you go to the slide which has all the gateways you listed? I don't know. Sorry.
This one?
You have listed all the gateways like virtual gateway, NAT gateway. It's okay. As a point.
Did I list it something like that?
It's okay. Sorry. Don't worry.
Okay. Yes.
So what that means that lock down the root user account, root user something was mentioned, no? Exam outline.
Okay.
What it means lockdown? Lockdown. I didn't understand that.
Which means you don't use your root access user, the user who is the root, right? You don't use it in general for operations.
Okay.
It is not just an exam consideration; it's rather a security consideration also, which AWS sort of dictates that don't use root user for performing your day-to-day operations.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
That's what it means. No problem. Yeah. Any other question?
Thank you, sir. That's all for now.
All right. So in this module, in this domain, we will talk about designing cost-optimized architectures. How do you make sure that your cost considerations are kept intact? Okay, that will be the focus of discussion in this module. Before we get started, let me know if you have any questions on what we spoke. All right. So this exam objective, outline of this exam objective will be to determine how to design cost optimized storage and how to design cost optimized compute. This is a rather smaller module, but yes, we will have two important design considerations to make. So firstly, as AWS pricing model, let's talk about that. As a standard, you have pay-as-you-go model, pay-per-use model, where you have no minimum commitments and no long-term contracts required. You replace your upfront capital expense with a very low variable cost, and you only pay for what you use. Then there is one module where you can also reserve for something and you pay even less. So pay less when you reserve. There are some certain products you can invest in to reserve some capacity, and you get a discounted price, which will give you an overall concept of reserved storage. We have it in EC2. If you reserve it, you get a very good amount of discount, and you are billed on the amount of time you reserve it for. Maybe you are reserving for an year or more than that. So you have this pay less when you reserve, and even less pay per unit by using more. So this is when you have when your application is growing bigger and you are using more. So at that time, the data, the rates, the slab will sort of reduce. Pay even less per unit. That is when you save more as you go bigger, as you grow bigger. This is for storage and data transfer. Pricing is tiered. The more you use, the less you pay per gigabyte. For compute, you get volume discounts up to 10% when you reserve more. This is also one pricing model which is available. With respect to pricing, there are three fundamental characteristics. So the fundamental characteristics are compute, storage, and data transfer. You pay for these three characteristics with AWS. These characteristics vary slightly depending on the AWS offering that you are using. Okay, they are slightly differing. However, they are the core characteristics that have the impact on your cost. This will have the greatest impact on your cost. Although you are charged for data transfer out, but there is no data transfer inbound charges. So for inbound data transfer or data transfer within Amazon services within the same region, there is no charge. The outbound data transfer is aggregated across services like EC2 or S3 or RDBMS, any database services. All these outbound transfer is aggregated and billed at the end of your cycle. So these charges appear monthly in your statement. Okay. So how to design cost optimized storage? So for determining pricing considerations on storage, you have to consider the estimated cost of using S3 based on the considerations like storage class, storage, and then your requests, number of requests which are being sent to your objects, and your data transfer. So these are your considerations which you might have to consider when you are using S3. And again, they are depending on the storage classes. Let's move to storage class and see how they are impacting your monthly bill. So here the prices are like an explanation for an example purpose. They are not the exact pricing here. For exact pricing, you will always have to refer to the documentation on Amazon, and that will give you the current prices at any given point in time, and you will have appropriate decisions there. So if you are using S3 standard storage, the first 50 terabytes per month, you are charged at $0.023 per gigs. Okay, and for the next 450 terabytes, you are charged at 0.01 cent per less than that. So it is 0.22 per gigs. And if you are using over 500 TB per month, then your charges are 0.021 per gigabytes. So this is what it means when we see pay less as you use more. As your usage is increasing, your slabs are reducing. And your standard infrequent access storage is all charged at 0.0125 gigs per gigabyte of storage. And your Glacier is all storage is charged at $0.04 per gigabyte. So this is how an illustration of charges can happen. So these storage classes matters when you are selecting your storage types. So as an architect, you have to make informed decisions as to how long you want to store your data in standard storage, how long you want to store that in, you want that to be promoted to your infrequent access storage, and how long you want to store it in your Glacier. And your timing should be in line with your business requirements. If your business has some compliance, maybe you want to store some information, some logs or something, you want to store it for approximately at least a year maybe. So in that case, you have to design your considerations accordingly. Then another pricing consideration on EBS is considering the estimate of the cost for using EBS. You have to think of the volume type and what should be the IOPS you need, how often you want to have snapshots, and what should be the volume size. So volume storage for EBS volumes is charged by the amount you store, amount you provision in gigabytes per month until you release the storage. As long as you are holding the storage, you will be charged. EBS volumes will be built in per second increments with a 60-second as a minimum time frame. So EBS volumes are built per second things. So the price will very much depend on the type of volume. If your volume is high IOPS provision or high throughput provision, according to that your pricing will vary. All right. And then snapshots is something what you also have to consider. How often do you want to create your snapshots? And snapshot storage is based on the amount of space you consume in S3. Because the snapshots are stored in S3, so you will have to pay on the S3 pricing model for all the snapshots what you store. And because EBS doesn't save empty blocks, it's likely that snapshot size will be considerably less than your volume size. So this is some optimization which will be done. EBS will not have your empty blocks. Okay. So you will have to consider the snapshot frequency as well. How often should you create your snapshots, and how long you want to store your snapshots also. You may not want to store your snapshot for more than some specific period. Like if your application doesn't need that, why do you store more than one snapshot as well? You may also want to just have limit on the amount of snapshots you want to store, maybe one or two, and at a given instance. Okay. So things what you want to consider for Amazon EBS cost optimization. Monitor EBS volumes periodically. As I told you, you don't want to store it for a long time. You want to monitor them periodically. Delete any unattached EBS volumes. If there are EBS volumes which are not associated with any EC2 instance, you should rather delete them. You may resize or change the EBS volume type also. If there is a EBS volume which is not utilized to a considerable extent, you may want to resize it, or you may want to change the type. If you are using it for high IOPS and you are not provisioning that, you are using maybe high throughput one, then you may want to change the type of the EBS volume and delete the stale EBS snapshots. You don't want to keep it for long. So with EBS, it is important to keep in mind that we are paying for provision capacity and performance, even if the volume is unattached. Even if it is unattached, you have to make sure that you are, you are still paying it. So you have to make sure you are not simply keeping it if you're not attaching it to an instance. Similarly, to optimize storage performance and cost for EBS, we should monitor volumes periodically, and to identify anyone which is unattached and appear to be underutilized, you want to consider resizing and changing the types. Okay. So let's see a sample question. You are asked to make a PDF file publicly available on the web. This file will be downloaded by customers using their browsers millions of times. Which option is the most cost-effective one? So you are making PDF files, making it publicly available for web, and this will be downloaded millions of times. What is cost-effective? Store them in S3 standard, store them in S3 standard infrequent access, store it in Amazon Glacier, or store it on Elastic file system. So you have to understand what are your clauses here. So the clauses are publicly available millions of times and most cost efficient. So let's yeah, any answers you want to make?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
All right, that's fine. So let's eliminate wrong answers also if you want. Infrequent access, we don't want to do that because it is we have to get frequent retrieval. You eliminate that. Then you don't go for Glacier because Glacier will not give you real-time download frequent option. It might give you at later point in time, maybe hours together also can be retrieval time. And lastly, you don't store it in the what was the option EFS also, because that's file storage. It is a block storage rather. So A is the most suitable option for us. So then let's consider how do you deal with when you have serverless. How do you deal with when you have serverless architecture? So you have to make sure when you are using Lambda, you recognize and understand the opportunity to reduce the compute spend using serverless architecture. So with Lambda, it lets you run your code without provisioning anything on servers. You don't want to provision VMs. You don't want to have EC2 spin up. You don't want to spend on compute. You only pay for the compute time you consume. So that's when you go for Lambda. And because there is no charge when your code is not running and your code is idle at that time, you don't want to pay for your unused resources. So with Lambda, you can run code for virtually any type of application or any backend with no administration. Just upload your code and Lambda will take care of everything which is required for running your application and scaling as well, to give you at any amounts of scale and provide you high availability, because it is a fully managed service by AWS. So you can set up code to be automatically triggered from other AWS services also. So your Lambda can be triggered by other services also. It might be triggered on at an event from S3, or a table update on Amazon DynamoDB, or an API invocation at Amazon API Gateway. So it can be triggered from other services also, and you can directly call from any web application or mobile application. So with Lambda, you get improved cost optimization, because you only pay for the function, you only pay for the compute while your functions are getting executed. Unlike your EC2 instance, where you pay for your EC2 uptime, as long as your EC2 is up, even if it is underutilized or not utilized at all, you still have to pay for it. Whereas API gateway, That is also one of the fully managed service which AWS gives as an offering. It allows the developers to create and publish their APIs. Do you have any question? Okay. So API Gateway is a service which allows you to create, publish your services with in form of an API, and you can provide any amount of scaling capacity for that as well. You can create APIs that acts as a sort of front door for your applications, and you want to, if you want to deal with the API management, if you want to deal with your access limitation on your API, or you may want to throttle your APIs, you want to provide any sort of customizations before the API is invoked and after the API sends the response, before the response is delivered to the end user, you want to provide some customizations. All that can be done at API gateway level. Throttling is one example which you can set for, let's assume you want a group of your users on API that they should be only invoking only one a set amount of requests per day. Let's say you have something called as free user. You want to give them only access to 100 requests per day. So that limitation can be done by using your API gateway. In fact, API gateway is used by many of the APIs which Amazon itself exposes. Okay. So that is something which we may use for reducing the expenditure on our services.
Do we use any other service for configuration for API gateway, or it has everything that it will route to the related Lambda function based on a purpose?
API gateway itself is a managed service. It's a fully managed service, and you don't have to use any extensions on that. It itself does all the handling of routing the request, maybe.
Okay. Thank you.
Was that your question?
Yes, that is a question. Thank you.
Yeah, that's an independent service. Yes, yes. Yeah, no problem. Then on cloud front, you have some cost benefits because you don't have there's no cost for data transfer between S3 and CloudFront. So if you transfer your data from S3 to CloudFront, you get some benefits. But it gives you a good amount of low latency on your applications, and your application user experience will definitely improve. So you can use CloudFront to reduce the compute workload for EC2 instances. What you may have to consider for about cost in your CloudFront is the traffic distribution and how many requests are coming to that, and data transfer which is coming out of cloud consideration CloudFront. You still have to consider that. But CloudFront can improve cost optimization and reduce overall expense on your workloads because content is cached and content is available closer to the user. Okay. Determine how to design cost optimized compute. So until now we just spoke about storage. We may now talk about how to design cost optimized compute in AWS. So on EC2, let's consider the pricing strategy and pricing considerations. These are the considerations you have to keep in mind when you are estimating for the cost of using EC2 instance. What is the clock time? What is the type of monitoring you want? Instance, which instance type and which family it belongs to? What are the number of instances? Number of tenancy? What is the type of tenancy? What should be the auto scaling you want to do? IP addresses which are elastic. Then what is the OS you are using? If you are using any proprietary OS, then you may have to pay for it. If you are using any proprietary tools, softwares, like you are using WordPress or you are using Cisco Juniper, some software from them. So there are some proprietary images as well. So you may have to keep all these things into consideration. So size, type, family of instance, all these things are important. If you have a large instance, for example, it finishes the batch job very early, and it can be cheaper if you have that much amount of load on the application. If you have a smaller family that runs your batch for a very long time, you will have to maybe spend more time in keeping the EC2 instance alive. So you may have to choose between whether a large instance which provides your batch job faster is better for you, or a small instance which is running your batch job for a long time is good for you. You have to consider that. It's not a straightforward answer whether small is good every time. Okay. And all the Linux instances are built by second. Stopping in Amazon EC2 instance stops the billing for that instance. If you stop it, your billing is stopped. You may also want to consider, it is important that you understand how each of the decisions what you make will make an overall impact on the cost of using EC2. EC2 instance families, characteristics of families, whether you're using burstable or fixed compute, whether you're using for default tenancy or a dedicated tenancy, or if you are using what pricing option you want to go for. Are you using an on-demand instance, or you are using reserved instance or spot instances? And then are you having any bootstrap actions? When you are doing any bootstrapping, like using EC2 user data, are you invoking some other services also? So these are some design considerations you may keep in mind. Right. Other than that, EC2 instance also will need some EC2 instance storage, right? So you may also want to think about the storage. Because the storage is ephemeral, you don't get a persistence on that storage, but still that EC2 instance store provides an important, required block level storage for your applications. You need that. So the storage is located on disks that are physically attached to your computer. So how do you deal with that storage? And what is the right amount of size for your temporary storage? That is something which you have to consider. You have to think about buffers. If you are providing any, you have to think about cache and any temporary content in your EC2 instance store. And how long do you want to store that content as well? Are you storing any content which is required for long-term storage? Are you storing it that content in EC2 instance store, which is not recommended? So you have to consider that also. So saving money with Amazon EC2 instances, how can you save money? If you are using reserved instances provide a significant discount up to 75% when compared to on-demand pricing. And they provide a capacity reservation when used in specific availability zones. You can choose the right type of reserved instance also. You also have the types of reserved instances. Like not all reserved instances are same. There is the standard reserved instance, convertible reserved instance, and then scheduled reserved instance. And how are they different? Standard RI provide the most significant discount, which is what I said, like up to 75% on demand when compared to on demand, and they are best suited for steady state usage. Convertible RIs provide a discount of up to 50 odd percentage, okay, when compared to on demand, but the capability to change the attributes of RI as long as the exchange results in the creation of a reserved instance, if equal or greater than value. Like if you are using standard RI, convertible RI are best suited when you have steady state usage. So in convertible RIs, you can convert the properties of the instances. Whereas scheduled RIs, you will get at a specific time. You schedule the time when you want to get that RIs. Okay. So this is again something which is giving you much flexibility and good amount of pricing discounts and savings when you are using reserved instances. And then there is this spot instance. which gives you spare compute capacity on the AWS cloud.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.